Welcome. Can you see me? Okay, sorry, my camera was doing weird things, but I think we're good now. Maybe. There we go. All right. Welcome back to Tuesdays on an Actual Tuesday. We're going to be continuing our back to school organization discussion with some strategies to help you with kind of managing the whole family as opposed to just individual planning and organization. So I'm going to go ahead and run the intro. We'll bring Susan on and we will get started quickly because we always tend to run out of time.
Hi, I'm Nicole, and as you have probably guessed, I have ADHD. I live and breathe all things ADHD in my personal, family, and professional life. I have a background in psychology and special education, and I've gained a lot of knowledge over the years about ADHD, what it really is, how it touches every aspect of your life and the life of your child, as well as a wealth of information and strategies for living with ADHD and parenting kids with ADHD. In this community, we share stories, we learn together, and we support each other as we navigate all things ADHD. Welcome.
Well, hello there, friend.
Hello, my friend.
How's it going?
Quite well, thank you. I've actually been attending a wonderful workshop today called Impact Makers, which is all about recognizing how you make an impact on the world through your work. And so it's a really good timing that you and I are here today because we both really strive to make an impact on the people we talk to through this podcast, through our individual work, through reaching out to anyone who has questions, through our advocacy. So it's really, I'm just in that impact mode.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we can help some families today.
Sounds excellent to me.
So, where would you like to start? Did you have a particular question that you've seen that we want to start with answering, or?
Well, I wanted to talk about family planning, not in the
not in the when and where to have children,
right?
The other kind of family planning.
The other side of family planning, and we a couple of weeks ago talked about personal planners for our kids and young adults, and even for adults. And today I want to talk about a series of planning tools for the whole family. And I want to go from low tech to high tech.
Great.
Because I think that one of the things that happens when we depend on our teens and young adults to be in charge of all their own planning, things get missed. Things fall through the cracks. And when we depend on parents to be in charge of all the planning and the appointments, we end up with nagging, we end up with helicopter parenting, and then our kids and young adults don't learn any independence or don't learn to take responsibility or accountability.
Right.
So we need a mutual support system.
Yes, scaffolding.
Scaffolding is my favorite word in this space, no question about it. So I have at least 4 or 5 things that I recommend to families, depending on their needs and on their level of tech savvy and, what feels comfortable to them and their families. And so, Nicole, I want you to chime in.
Will do. I have a few.
Your family.
And I imagine some of them are going to overlap quite a bit. So
we always find that's true, don't we?
Yep.
So to me, the lowest tech version of this is a whiteboard in the kitchen or family room where sort of every day or week, you kind of write down what's everybody's appointments for the day, what's happening. And that can include, getting ready for school. It can include assignments or homework that's due that day. It can include appointments for everybody that day. You know me, we've been discussing this. Color coding is important.
Always color coding.
So each kids and adults events should be color coded to the child or adult. Who's driving the kids to those appointments or events, sports events, those have to be on there too. But to me, the lowest tech version is that whiteboard that somebody's responsible for. Usually it's mom, but it doesn't have to be. And it's kept in a central location where everybody checks in on it. Do you have a low-tech version like that you use or have recommended, Nicole?
I have it right here.
A paper calendar.
This is one from Rad and Happy, which we know how much I love her
We've
planners.
talked about them.
She puts out this wall calendar. It is the perfect size for me. We have like a big bulletin board that I think I got from one of my dad's offices years and years ago. Big bulletin board, and it has kind of a place where we can pin all of the random papers and things, and then little pockets that I can put stuff in for the kids. And then this calendar fits perfectly on there, and everyone has their own color. And I go in, well, when ADHD is not completely out of control, sometimes I miss a few months here and there, but I go in and put everyone's schedule in the different colors so that kids aren't surprised when things are coming up. So if there's a family event or they have an appointment that they're going to need to be at, it's there visually where everyone can see it.
Take the stuff out of the pocket.
Great. So I like another version of a paper calendar that can be easily addressed. And I like the Sandra Boynton calendar.
I do have that written down right here. Sandra Boynton family calendar.
The reason I like it is that not only is it adorable because I like Sandra Boynton,
sure,
but it comes with multiple spaces across the top. It says it's already written in, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces for different members of your family already written in. And so I write mom, dad, each of the kids across the top, and then you can go down the days of the month and write in everybody's activities for the whole month.
Yeah. I have seen, and I have tried a calendar like that. The format just didn't work for my brain. So,
and that's
but
fine.
I like the, that it has a column for every person and all of that. But I struggled with not being able to put necessarily in the times. I prefer having a box and being able to put morning to evening, even if it's not an exact time chunk, just so it's a little bit easier for us all to read visually.
We really liked every person having their own column. So I didn't have to write every appointment for every person in one box. Every person had their own box.
Right.
And so that way we could tell, when I was going to be busy, when each kid had a different appointment or something due that day, and then we could separate it by person. And that worked much better for my family.
Sure.
So I think that's really, really important.
Now, you've got to find what works for you. That's why we like to present lots of different options. So you can try a few out and figure out one that
What I also like about the Sandra Boynton one is it goes August through December. It's an 18-month calendar or 16-month calendar. So it starts before the school year. And so you can do it for back to school.
Yeah.
And have it run through December of the following calendar year. Or you can restart the next year's in August again. So there's overlap of 4 months with each year. And so I really like having it ready for back to school.
Yeah.
One thing I do like about the Rad and Happies, if you look down here in this corner,
Uh-huh.
it has next month with just some little squares.
That's really nice.
So if there's something big that's coming up in the next month, you can, I mean, obviously not going to put all the little appointments, but if there's a vacation or, right now my kids are in marching band. And so I've marked the days that they have competitions for the next 6 weeks on there so that they're aware of kind of what's
very
coming up
good planning
in the next month.
Right. Now, we've talked before that my son, for example, preferred a 1 week at a time, dry erase calendar just for him. He kept that in his bedroom starting in high school, and he took it with him when he went to college. That was for his own personal things. These kinds of things, what I call family calendars, are things that everyone in the family needs to look at because you're writing in therapy appointments, doctor appointments, the dentist, activities where, for example, the family needs to coordinate sports practices, who's going to drive who to where. And you can't do that on an individual planner because parents have to be involved if the kids need rides to places or if the kids have overlapping events, right? You need to be able to coordinate who's taking where to what, when.
Right.
And so I always insist that families think about, Sunday nights, you need to sit down for 15 minutes with that family planner, whatever form of calendar you use, whether it's that whiteboard in the kitchen, whether it's that 1 month version of the calendar or the separate calendar like I'm using, the Sandra Boynton one. You must sit down and plan out all those travel arrangements, or at some point, somebody's going to be left without a ride.
Right.
And so that pre-planning
kids get really mad when
important. And so, right? So unless you plan in that Sunday night family meeting, that travel part of the calendar gets overlooked. And that's why I like my one slot for every person, because then I can see I can't schedule a kid's doctor's appointment at the same time somebody else's sport practice because I can't be in two places at the same time.
Right.
And so that calendar becomes really useful to me. Unless my husband was going to take off work to do one or the other, I can't be in two places at the same time. So and that's where color coding is helpful so that you can be aware of who has to be where and when.
Yes,
right?
all
You
the
can't
color
just
coding.
put things in their individual.
All of the pretty pens.
Yes. Yes. So these kinds of what seem like low-tech solutions actually work really well as long as you build in that planning time. And that's the piece that families often forget.
Right.
And whether you use this or a digital kinds of planner, which I'm going to talk about next, planning in travel time, people, not just travel time to
really
get there,
bad at that.
but travel time to get back home again before the next appointment.
And taking into account things that might make that travel time go longer. Really, the thing for me that I forget to plan in is the time it takes to get from the house to the car, right? Because if I've got in my brain, I need to leave at this time. Well, that's actually because it takes 30 minutes to drive somewhere. Well, I actually need to leave my house 5 minutes before that, get in the car, get everything situated so that I'm on the road at that 30-minute mark. And that's the part that I always tend to forget to budget in.
Well, we can have a whole nother discussion another day about transitions.
Yes.
Which are going to include warning your child when you're going to leave, giving them time to put their shoes on.
And this is just for me, remembering how many times I might need to run into the house because I forgot something.
Right. Getting there, is their bag packed with their fidgets, their chapstick, the materials they need for what other event you're going to.
I forget my wallet again. Yes. Always.
Is their hockey bag packed? Did they wash their uniform?
Never.
all kinds of stuff like that. So that's a whole nother discussion on transitions. Let's put that on the calendar. Today, we're talking about family planning, the organizational kind. We should put that on our title for next year.
Right.
Family planning, the organizational kind. I really am loving this. It's making me laugh.
You bet.
So a lot of people choose to use Google calendars. Do you have any
Yes.
other low-tech ones, or can we move to
We can
next
move.
level?
Yep.
Okay. So my daughter really likes her Google calendar.
Yes.
And she likes it because she can invite us, her parents, to the appointment she makes. So it appears on my calendar as well as her father's and on hers. What's really helpful about that is it alerts me and her father when she's having an in-home appointment, like she's having a video call with her therapist, or when she's going in person. So her therapist is up in Boulder. That's a 45-minute to an hour drive. So if she makes an in-person appointment, her father has to have time to drive her. It's an hour there, hour and 15-minute appointment, an hour back. This is a 3.5-hour ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
So by using Google Calendar and using the invite function, this is the critical piece here, people. It appears on all of our calendars. It's color-coded to her calendar, and it appears on every member of the family who needs to know about it. These are functions that not everybody realizes are available. One, that all the calendars can be color-coded. Two, that you could invite other people. And three, that you must include your travel time. But again, Google only includes the pre-travel time and doesn't include the post-travel time. So you have to include that in your calendar. I don't know why Google does that. It only puts, if your travel time is an hour to get there, it doesn't block off your schedule for the travel time coming back home.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to put that in by hand.
And manually put that in.
A weird mistake that Google does.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I know, it's strange, isn't it?
Well, but I mean, if you're not going home to the same, like if you're not taking the exact same trip.
Don't you think
back.
Google should ask? Because on my business calendar, somebody could schedule an appointment with me immediately afterwards, and I haven't gotten home yet.
Yeah, that wouldn't work out so well.
Yeah. So
we do use a Google Calendar for our family. We have not done separate ones for the kids yet. Because part of that is because the Google calendars that they use personally for school and whatnot, they're no longer going to have access to that email a little bit. So we need to set them up with their own Google accounts that are separate from their school one, but then it's a whole mess of, so we just haven't gotten to that step yet, but we do have a family calendar that we share. What's also nice about it is I can follow other calendars. So for example, our band puts out a Google Calendar. So then it's automatically on all of our Google calendars. We can follow the band calendar, and we don't have to manually go in and put all of their band rehearsals into the calendar. It's lovely.
Yes. So I have that for my work. So some of my coaching programs release monthly calendars for all my appointments with my coaches, and it appears in my Google Calendar. Right. Makes my life so much easier. I know when not to schedule clients.
Mm-hmm.
So much easier. But I think what's really important is the invite function. And people don't realize that when their kids make appointment, or if you make a doctor's appointment for your child, invite your child to that appointment so it appears in their calendar too.
Yeah.
Kids, especially the teens I work with, hate when their mother says, I'm picking you up early from school because you have an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
The kid didn't know about it in advance. They didn't have any warning. Maybe they had plans with friends, or they just had maybe they had a test that day. Maybe they were planning they had a presentation to do at school. And that morning you tell them, I'm picking you up early to go to the dentist. It totally throws off your teen's schedule. We've talked many times here about how our kids feel when their schedules are thrown off. It throws a whole wrench in their emotional regulation, their sensory regulation. They feel unlistened to when you change their schedule without their participation. If you simply invited them to the appointment, it would appear in their calendar, you could discuss it with them, and then they would not feel so dysregulated.
Right. Yeah,
It's
I got one
simply
kid like
respectful.
does not want to know anything and does not want to keep track of it yet. And then I have another kid who really does not like to be surprised by things. And so I
Exactly.
have to give him ample warning that something's coming up because he will make plans in his head. And then if I'm like, oh, well, we have to do this one thing, it really throws him off.
Exactly. It's simply respectful of our kids to include them in the planning. And
Yeah, it's
parents
tricky
don't seem to
because
get that.
when they're younger, that's not something we manage it for them. And so determining when is that point when it's like, okay, I need to move from what I have been doing to this new process. And so I think it's good to kind of revisit that at the beginning of the school year is always a good time to kind of check back in and figure out how much is my kid want and ready to take over that I've just been managing as part of my, my
I'm going
being
to ask you to
running
talk
house.
some more about that. I need to make
Okay.
a quick bio break.
Sure.
So I'm going to let you talk. That's so important. Why don't you expand on that issue? And I'll be back momentarily.
Well, I've just noticed for me and my kiddos, I figured out what works for me when I was managing all of their stuff as they were younger. And then one kid kind of gets older and more responsible. And I forget to kind of allow to pass some of that on because I'm so stuck in my routines and I need those routines. I don't function without them, right? So I've just always managed things on the Google Calendar with the different color coded. I set their appointments because I know their schedule and I know what what they've got going on. And it's very easy to all of a sudden then have a 17-year-old who has not been included in that process for all of his life. Because when he was 6, 7, 8, and even for him, 10, 11, 12, 13, really up until about 16, was barely able to manage what was his to manage that I couldn't, right? So finding that line between am I accommodating, is it appropriate for me to manage this thing while they're learning to manage the other, or is it time to kind of invite them in on that process? And the only way we can really do that is to step back and have those conversations with our kids. I have talked before about how different transition times for me and systems is beginning of the school year, New Year's, and the beginning of summer. So those are times when I usually have fallen away from some of my good habits, either because, summer gets away from me, it gets chaotic and I need to reset things. Again, the beginning of the year, we're just coming off Christmas break where it's like, okay, we're starting a new semester at school. We need to revamp what we're doing. It is hard for me to include my kids in those conversations because I am trying to get my own life under control, and doing that is kind of controlling what is chaotic. And oftentimes that is my kids, because we all have ADHD. So there's a lot of chaos. So I have kind of made a conscious effort as my kids are getting older to try and include them more in those conversations. What are you ready for? What's the next skill? We talked about scaffolding before, and just to define that term, in behavioral psychology, we call it scaffolding support, where you're basically, if you think of a building that's requiring scaffolding, right? That scaffolding is there to hold that part up until it is firm enough, until it has enough foundation or it has enough internal support so you can take that scaffolding away. So when we're working on these kinds of skills with our kids, we're going to do the same thing, right? We're going to build in a lot of support at first. And then as they start to learn skills, we can start to gradually pull that level of support away. In order to do that, we have to kind of make a list of skills, right? A continuum of, okay, they've learned this thing, they've mastered this, they're ready for the next step, and then take the time to teach that next skill. So it's a work in progress for me, but it's something you have to, because it is something that I have to be a little more conscious of when I'm doing with my kids, is that need to kind of step back and reevaluate, where are we in this process? What supports are still needed, and what can I start to pull away and teach them the next skill because they are succeeding in what they have? Or it's just time for them to pick up some of the slack a little bit, or learn a skill because, my oldest is now a senior in high school, and all of a sudden we're looking at, oh boy, he's going to be out on his own before too long. So starting to pass some of the control and management of those things over to him while still being there to offer support when it's needed, that he knows that if he can't quite figure something out, like, I'm there to back him up. So I think it's really important for us to make sure we're teaching those skills while they're still with us, and we can offer that support, but giving them room to stretch and grow and push against their limits and see what kind of growth is needed. They have to strengthen those muscles, right? The only way you strengthen a physical muscle is by pushing against the ground, right? By pushing against gravity. And so the only way they're going to strengthen these other muscles is if we give them the chance to try it out while we're still there to support.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I apologize.
No worries.
So, in addition to the Google calendars, there are a number of apps that families can use. Are you familiar with some of those, Nicole?
Yeah, we've used a few in the past. I'm trying to remember. There was one, Cozy, that I used for a while. Yes, that's
the one I recommend as well.
I used that for a while. It just didn't seem to work any better than the Google Calendar for me, and just was one more thing. So it didn't stick for long, but
the thing I like about Cozy is that it sends reminders.
Yes.
And that is really, really helpful. So it's called Cozy Family Organizer. It's a productivity and lifestyle app. It wants me to update because I'm trying to call it up on my phone.
Well, and I used it years ago, so I'm sure it is more able to integrate than it was at the time I was using it.
Right. So what's really cool about Cozy is, once again, color-coded. Every member can sign in at any time to see what's happening, and every person can input, so that it's really useful that way. It can work for a number. You can put in your chores, your appointments, your school calendar. You can send messages to each other, which Google Calendar really can't. There's no message component to Google, which makes it a little more difficult to communicate. You sort of have to text each other and then put things into Google. Cozy, that's all included. And then Cozy allows you to kind of update as you go along. So I really liked Cozy for a tech-savvy family because it had all these extra components. So a family that isn't going to update a whiteboard every day, doesn't want a paper calendar, needs immediate updates, schedule changes. Dad has to work late. Kid suddenly needs to be picked up from an event. Cozy is a really super way for families to update on the run and communicate quickly. through the app instead of having to use multiple things like text
Sure.
messages and Google and
Mhm.
something else. And so I really liked it. I thought it was, we used it when my kids were still in school. My son had 2 sports he was involved in. My daughter was in theater. My husband and I were both working. It was just, I thought, really convenient and well worth it. So for a tech-savvy family who needs to communicate sort of on the run, I thought it was a great option.
Yeah. It's again, when I tried it, it was years ago, and it just didn't work for my brain. You have to find what works for you.
Right. And so it's spelled COZI, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really important to know that. And you can also, by the way, add things like your grocery list.
Mm-hmm.
So your recipes.
In fact, I think the thing that got me started in it was I was doing, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, years ago, the Fly Lady routines for
I
cleaning
remember
your
that.
house. And she had a cozy calendar thing that you could subscribe to that put in kind of all of her cleaning charts and things into it. And so I was using it primarily for that, and then tried to add kind of the family stuff into it, but got overwhelmed.
Yeah. So the other thing that Cozy has is it has a list library for you. So it has all kinds of to-do lists, grocery lists, other stuff already built in. So it's really like a whole household planner.
Sure.
As well as having the calendar. It has agenda emails built in. So it's really like a whole household manager app.
Yeah.
And I think for some, complicated families, that's really useful.
Absolutely.
Whereas Google is really just a calendar and appointment planner.
Yes.
Cozy is bigger. And for many busy families who have to coordinate multiple people, it's incredibly useful.
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend it for families that are looking for something more than just calendars.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out again, see if it will fit into my current family situation better than
I
it
was going to
did
say,
10
now that
years
your
ago.
husband has the clinic, right? You're working part-time in the clinic too.
Yeah.
You have the kids' marching bands plus their regular appointments. Cozy might be a better fit now than it was before.
Right.
Whereas it's less good for me now because my husband's retired. My son is gone off into his own life. I can manage my own life and my daughter's appointments just on Google Calendar.
Right.
I don't need it as much now that I'm not managing a family of 4.
Sure. It's kind of more like a family management tool. You can put your grocery lists and your meal plans and things like that in there.
Right. But it
for a lot
also
of that
does
stuff, I still prefer, a paper planner to it, but that doesn't allow me to involve anyone else in the process. So
Right. And, if you're not the one doing the grocery shopping, I mean, my husband goes to the grocery store and forgets his paper list. We take a picture and text it to him, but that's not nearly as convenient. What if I'm in my podcast with you and my husband says, I need the grocery list? I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't stop talking on my podcast to go text you.
Right.
Or if I'm with a client, or if I'm giving a workshop.
Right. Well, I have a higher tech option that I haven't tried yet that I really want.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm sure you've seen ads for it. I can pull up the website here. It's called the Skylight Calendar. And let me share this tab here. You don't need the ad for it. Okay. So This is a skylight calendar. There's like a desk type size, and then there's a larger one that's wall mounted, and I really want it. This is not an ad.
Tell me what it does. Yeah, I haven't seen
So
this.
it integrates with all of your other calendars. So it can integrate with your Google Calendar, and just put it up on the wall. But you can also put in things like chore charts with like there's like the kid can click on their name. Let's see if I can find down here the thing. So this, like, they have a little task manager, right? So you can put in a list for each kid, and it can track like a token economy for rewards, right? So if they do their
Wow.
checklist and they get these different stars, and you can set goals and rewards that have an amount for how much stars they need to get to earn the thing. And you can put your meal planning in it and your recipes, and then you know, if it's in your kitchen, you can just pull your recipe right up on the screen. It can make grocery
Okay.
lists
And how many years will
one.
you spend programming this before you use it, Nicole?
I think it would be something I would add a step two at a time, right? Because as far as the calendar part goes, it's just going to integrate with our Google Calendar. It's going to show everybody their things. And then it seems to be pretty like user friendly when it comes to I probably wouldn't use like the recipe features and that sort of things on it, because I'm not really a cook with a recipe every night kind of person. It would be helpful for keeping track of some like favorite family recipes rather
This
than
looks
trying to hunt them
amazing.
down every time. But, you know, it auto syncs with your calendars. It has an app on your phone, so you can add things in and it will just automatically go to the thing. But I really like this task manager
It's
list
not that
for my kids
expensive.
aspect. It's not.
$320.
Yeah, so that's for the smaller one. The bigger one's a little bit more, and I'm not sure if there's like a subscription that you have to pay for as well. I haven't been able to tell, but I want it.
Yeah, so that's the 15-inch one is $320. I don't
Yeah,
see a bigger one.
I think the other one is,
Oh, 27 inches.
yeah.
The 27-inch one is $650.
So it's an investment, but I want it. So I think it's going on my Christmas list.
That's so cool. So there's an app that goes with it. Okay. It's a free skylight app, it says.
Yeah. So if any of you have tried the Skylight calendar, let us know what you think of it, because I think it looks amazing and I want it.
I agree.
Because I've looked at maybe getting
thank you for bringing this to my attention. I'm gonna
or an
look it up.
iPad or something in the kitchen that can kind of keep, can sync to our Google Calendar and whatnot. But number one, those are way more expensive than this. And I don't want it to do everything. Like, I already have my iPad. I have, like, my kids have their Chromebooks from school. I don't need all of the features of a computer or an iPad. I really just need a calendar. And this one does the additional things with the checklists that, like, my kids have their like paper checklist, but I know at least my youngest would really buy into the click here and tap when you're done sort of thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, for my kids, when they were in elementary and middle school, I would have loved this for their chore chart instead of the big thing with stars and whatnot.
Yeah. And you can change up, like, it has like a morning, a midday, an evening, or you can do just a daily. You can change up you can assign chore, if you have a list of family chores that need to be done every week, you can assign them to different kids for the week, and it just automatically goes over to their list. I don't know. It looks amazing and I want it. I think we're both responding to equality at the same time.
Somebody must have just ended up streaming because we just got like
Yeah.
a few more watchers just popped in.
Yep. I'm just writing in the comments what we've been talking about.
Great. So that would be a definitely higher tech option than what I've got right now with my clipboards and my paper calendar. But I also wouldn't require me to sit down and fill out the paper calendar all the time, which I am not the most consistent at doing because ADHD.
Well, and I don't remember how much Cozy is. Oh, I think it's free.
I don't remember it having there may be like add-on features that you subscribe to.
The basic app is free, and then you can purchase upgrades.
Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't I've seen a bunch of ads for this and I've kind of like briefly looked at it and I'm like, ooh, that looks shiny. But I have not dug into the details of if there is a subscription involved, like a monthly fee after the initial purchase of the product. But,
well, as far as I can see, once you purchase it, there's a free app to connect it to your home Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So.
Well, it looks very cool. I'm going to look into it as well to see if any of my clients, my clients are older, but some of the teens, that might be really useful. One of the things I like about it, and I talked about this in one of my Facebook posts just last week, is for teens to take accountability for their own responsibilities. So I talk about the difference between chores and responsibilities. Chores are when parents are in charge of things, in my opinion.
Okay.
They nag you, right? Go clean your room. Go clean the dishes. Go vacuum the living room. And they tell you what to do. Responsibilities are when the teens are saying, okay, I'm looking at my list. I'm going to go do my task. So it sounds like with something like Skylight, the teens are going to be able to say, I can go check my list by itself, take care of my task, hit my done, get my points. They're going to start learning to take some responsibility for that and reduce some of the parent nagging, oversight. The parent can take that step back once they've learned the system. And I think it's a really positive step in the right direction.
Well, that's something I always talk about with parents, right? Is like the more I can offload onto something else is asking them to do it as opposed to me asking them to do it, better, because it avoids a lot of that. I have 2 kids with ODD. When I give a direction, they automatically are like, can't do it. You told me to do it. But if it's on a chart, if it's somewhere else, it's like, well, those things have to be done in order to get access to a privilege. Or if you want some money, there's some extra chores over there that could be done. Then it just takes me out of that equation.
Exactly.
I'm not the one that's nagging them. It's this inanimate object. And they can hate that inanimate object as much as they want.
Exactly. And that's how we teach them autonomy. Autonomy is teaching our kids to take control of their own actions and taking responsibility for themselves. And that's how we help them mature, because as they get to high school, to college, and into adulthood, we, their parents, we can't take control of their behaviors. We can't direct them anymore, however much some parents want to. I tell the story in one of my presentations about a parent who came to a workshop that I was in and said, my kid's a sophomore in college and I'm still calling them at 7:30 every morning to wake them up because they never learned to wake up to an alarm clock. Ugh. And this is how we deprived our kids of autonomy because we never held them accountable for their behavior if they didn't learn to wake up on time. So if we nag our kids and we remind them countless times, do your chores, clean your room, clean the dishes, take out the trash, right? If we're in charge of their chores, then our kids are not in charge of their lives. So all of
Right.
these planners, all of these organizational tools that we're talking about are not about parents being in control of their kids' lives. I want to
Right.
be very clear about that. This is
No.
not about a parent telling a kid what to do. This
Right.
is about having a tool for the whole family so that the whole family is in charge. Remember when I said about using the invite function on Google Calendar to invite your kid, your middle schooler, your high schooler, even your college kid, if they're still living at home, invite your kid to that appointment that you set up for them, right? Because the point is, you're not springing on your kid, I'm picking you up early today to go to an appointment. Instead, you're making them part of the experience because you're teaching them to have autonomy and accountability. So if your kid drives, even if you're the one who makes the appointment at the doctor, you don't just say to your kid, you have an appointment at the doctor at 4:00. Instead, you say, when you make the appointment, by the way, your appointment is for Thursday at 4:00, I've put it in your calendar, allow travel time.
Right.
And therefore you're giving some autonomy to your teen. It's a super important step in helping our teens mature into adulthood. And that's what these calendars are really all about. It's that we're not directing our kids, we're including them in the process.
I'm going to pull this comment up.
Yes. Go ahead, Nicole.
I've just been noticing my 11-year-old doesn't look at the clock at all by herself. She just waits for me or my husband to tell her what to do next. So do you have any suggestions for our
It's such a good comment. And that's where we're letting our kids down. And so what we can do, so some of the things that you missed in our discussion is we talked about having family calendars where up in a common place, whether it's a whiteboard or a calendar that lists what every person is doing that day in color coding, so that our kids, I know, Nicole and I are obsessed with color coding. Our kid can look at the calendar and see what the plans are instead of expecting us as the parents to tell them what to do. And the point of that is to learn to help them start transitioning, even at the young age of 11, start transitioning to having some autonomy. Oh, I see I have an appointment today. Oh, I see I have sports practice today. Oh, I see I'm going to this activity today.
Well, and helping our kids learn how to start doing that, right? With kind of, instead of telling them, well, we've got this, that, and the other today, when they walk in from school or whatever, how's your day? Let's take a minute to unwind. Why don't you go check the calendar and see what we have going on today? So then you're kind of prompting them to do the thing until it becomes a habit for them, but giving them the space, the opportunity to learn that skill, right? So you're still supporting them in learning that skill, but we're not just giving them the information.
So at 11 in elementary school, they probably have their daily routine written up on the chalkboard at school.
Yep.
Almost every elementary school class has that. So I'm sorry, this listener stopped updating their monthly chalkboard calendar. That's one of the
happens. I do it too. I forget to update, or I get out of the habits and things like that.
It's a routine every family should have. And I'm fine with doing it on a chalkboard, a whiteboard. As I said earlier, both Nicole and I use a paper calendar in our families. But for tech families, a Google Calendar for those who want to have it on their phone. This Skylight calendar is a brand new option. Nicole and I just learned about it when Nicole introduced it to me today. If your family is high tech, that's a great option. But I think the point is we can't let our kids not have any option. There has to be a place for your kids to check on things like appointments, their daily chores, what their homework time is. And even, we haven't mentioned this before, it's very encouraging for kids to have their homework time up on that calendar so that they know they don't have endless screen time. When is their homework time scheduled and when is their screen time scheduled? So many of us limit our children's screen time, and they have to earn it by doing their chores or their homework. That can be scheduled on this calendar as well.
Yeah. It's all of those good habits that, and it's okay. Like, especially, a lot of the people who are watching this channel are parents who have ADHD. And so sometimes our routines fall to the wayside and we have to regroup and get back on track. And that's okay. It's part of the process. So just, I always tell people, you're doing better than you think you are. And so we're not going to sit and beat ourselves up that we have gotten out of the habits. We're just going to move forward.
And if you can't remember to update your chalkboard calendar, you're not going to remember to update this high-tech calendar either. It still comes down to we, the parents, have to put in time to update whatever system we're using. So don't assume just because it's high-tech, you're going to be any better at remembering to update it. It
does take some of the steps out of the equation because I live by the Google Calendar. So even if I'm not updating anything else on that thing, if it's syncing with my Google Calendar, then I'm 2 steps ahead.
Absolutely. But I'm just reminding our parents who have disabilities themselves, it still takes some effort on our part.
Yes.
To update it. Our kids can't take advantage of all these great tools if we, the parents, don't put in the effort. It's just a truism. It's just the way life is.
Yep.
So we have to build in systems to support us as the parents so that our kids get the best out of whatever tool we choose to use, whether it's the most low tech, like a chalkboard or a whiteboard, or whether it's the most high tech, like the Skylight calendar. We have to do the work so our kids can take advantage of it. It's hard.
I think one of the best, habits we can get into is that weekly meeting. In our family, we call them family councils. You can call them a weekly family meeting, weekly family planning meeting, but find a time where everyone gathers together to do this kind of stuff. All right, here's the schedule. What's on your planner for this week? What tests do you have coming up at school? What assignments do you have? What's our week looking like? And when are you going to have time to do your homework, your projects, all of that kind of stuff. So
10 or 15 minutes max.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be long.
Once you get used to it, it's short.
Do it while you're eating dinner.
Yeah. Except I don't allow devices at the table while we have meals. So maybe right after or right before dinner. Mm-hmm. But 10, 15 minutes is really all you need to sync your calendars Sunday nights before the week starts. It's all you need. It's not a big deal. Once you get used to it, it goes fast. Everybody knows what's expected of them.
Right.
So don't get
have any other.
No, these were all my ideas as usual.
Okay.
We're on the same track always, Nicole.
I know.
You introduced me to something new this week. I'm so excited to look into it.
I want it so bad.
Definitely on the Christmas list if you can wait 4 more months.
Yeah.
It might be an early Christmas gift, and then you just get a token present on the day.
Well, yeah, we do a lot of that. Oh, look, we got a new mattress.
I need a new ceiling fan. Mine broke.
Oh, no.
Yep. Well, next week I will be out of town, so we will see you in 2 weeks.
Yes. I may try and pop on and do something next week, but we've got a few things.
Anything you talk about will be of great interest to everybody. I trust you.
Ah, thank you.
And I will see you all again.
Back with another topic, and we'll
If you
try and
have
let you know at the
ideas
time.
about 2 new topics, please send them to us or drop them in the comments.
If you have any questions, please, you can put them here in the comments. You can send them to us on our socials. I have Dr. Susan's websites linked in the description. So if you want to get on a call with her, you can do that there. You can find us on Instagram. We're both pretty responsive there. So yeah, we'd love to hear your questions. If there's something that you need some support with, we can usually find a topic that will cover it. And I'm sure you're not the only one that has that question. So
Never.
we
Take care,
will
everybody.
see you all.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. This video is not a substitute for counseling, psychotherapy, medical, or mental health care. The information and advice shared here should not be used in place of any form of diagnosis, treatment, or therapy. Information provided here does not involve diagnosis or treatment of medical or mental or psychological disorders. If you feel the need for professional support, please seek a local professional in your area. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only.